Hello, everybody. Listening to the Fairweather Podcast. Your boy 2K Suave. I'm here with Mr. Alex Rodriguez. And fresh out of Dorchester, we got Mr. Sami representing the Boston sports media, representing Townie Sports, representing what jersey is that?
That's Peyton Pritchard, baby.
Oh my God! 11 is my favorite number, so I'll let you rock that. But of all Celtics jerseys, he's wearing a Pritchard jersey. That's a real fan right there.
Tatum's for game day. I leave Tatum jerseys for game day. Pritchard is, he needs some love on the other days.
Well, welcome. The last time we saw you on this show, I don't know how high we were on the Celtics making it this far, and we're eating our words right now.
We definitely are. I mean, it's been a crazy turnaround since January. I think we were on a little bit before that, or right before the turnaround.
It was like right before. Yeah. I was saying they should trade the whole team and start over. I'm the idiot here.
Yeah, I think everybody was thinking like the tandem wasn't going to work and somebody had to go. We just didn't know who it was. But I love, like you say, go eat some crow, bro. Love eating crow when I can, man. Tastes good.
Prove us wrong.
I'll take it.
Well, at least we got one of the halves from Townie Sports on. So wish we could have Vic, but unfortunately, he's driving to South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
It'd be a dope if he call in, like I said in the text, call in like Sean, calling in, sitting in the show. would be nice, but we'd probably get a bunch of screaming kids in the background. But we're good on that. So yeah, today episode 68. We're gonna start off breaking down those conference finals, Eastern and Western, just open dialogue. Of course, we're gonna do NBA finals preview. You're going to get your moment of shine and talk all the shit you want. You know what my background should have been? It should have been the different phases of you that night that Dante pictures of. It should have been it. There was a lot of this that day, that night.
I can imagine because I have no dog in the fight, and I was surrounded by a few Heat fans and one Celtic fan, and I could just see the emotion going back and forth. I'm just sitting there like, damn.
The only funny thing is like there was like a rando that Sami knew behind him, and like he bet on a lot of things for the Heat to do to pay off his mortgage that month. So
God,
anytime
when you have a problem. That's when you need to admit that you have a problem.
Dude was like, I need Kyrie. He's like, I need Lowry to hit one more three. He's like, mortgage paid off. There we go. It's like, good God. We'll dive into the irony behind the KD and Kyrie not on their respective teams that they were on before they decided to jump ship and do the Brooklyn thing. Who's it hurting more? We'll just have some open dialogue there once again. And then in wake of this crazy playoff run, strong playoff run of Andre Vasilevsky. We could say Jayson Tatum too. We could throw Steph Curry in there as well. We'll give props and we'll do our top 3 best playoff runs of players that we can think of, or sports teams, whatever you want to do. Just 3, open dialogue in, have some fun with it for our fun segment.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so let's kick things off. Let's jump into the conference finals. West has been done for a while. We can start there, I guess, a little bit. Gentlemen's sweep, Golden State, Dallas. I think we kind of touched on it a little bit last week. Luka just needs help. I think it's apparent that he needs help. We were saying it all along, they're too small, but at least, the small guys got this far. And it's nice to see that, but Luka definitely needs a guy to be second fiddle to him. And whether it's Jalen Brunson, because he's definitely budding into a star, Spencer did his thing off the bench, but they definitely need size. Size has to factor into this because the Warriors aren't that much bigger, but they do got some guys that can play big ball. Kevin Looney's no 7-footer, but Kevin Looney balled out in the Western Conference Finals. So
I think consistent shooting was a big problem for them too. They just didn't really have an answer. Those guys didn't really step up in every single game, and they just got cold in that series. They shot really well for all the other series, and then against Golden State, they just got cold.
And there were, the thing that people say, you live by the 3, you die by the 3.
Exactly.
The only team that's allowed to do that's Golden State. In the history of NBA basketball, the only team that has actually lived by the 3 and it worked is Golden State. And Dallas is trying to beat Golden State at their own game. Right. And they've been doing this for years. This is their, what is this, their sixth finals appearance? Obviously, they know what the hell they're doing. So it's like, you know, it was going to be hard for Luka to do it by himself. And even if that team was fully healthy, I know they were missing a couple people like Tim Hardaway Jr., stuff like that. There's still no way they would have been able to beat Golden State just from an experience standpoint. And they obviously they brought in Kristaps initially to be the counterpart to him, and that obviously didn't work. So it was basically going to be 1-on-5, and hopefully Brunson shows up, and hopefully Dinwiddie shows up, and that's a lot to ask of a kid that was 23 years old. So, he had a good run. Golden State is back. The dynasty is back intact. But yeah, how it went is how it's supposed to go, in my opinion. I said 6, but 5 was perfect. And Dallas had their opportunities to win in Game 3. They squandered that one away. And in Game 5, they played okay enough, but it's just, it's at the end of the day, you don't have Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Jordan Poole and, Kuminga and Moody. Like, now Kuminga and Moody are pieces that I thought they should have traded away or not even drafted in the first place. And now look at them. It's like, joke's on me. I've made a lot of bad takes this year. So jokes on me on that one.
Yeah, no, it always happens, man. Like you're pretty consistent on a lot of things that you predict. And I'm consistent on a lot of things, but there's just some that stick to our minds and we're like, damn, I really doubted that guy a lot. Like for instance, the Wiseman thing, I'm off it. I'm done with it.
Most of our bad takes have to do with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So like I can never write them off, man. So, but yeah, I'm off the Wiseman high. So, show me something now is what I need to see. But if they win, he's a champion. He didn't do anything. He's a champion still. So
Sammy, really quick for you, are we still talking about the West, or are we just talking about both sides in general?
We're going to talk about the East too. We can just go over to the East now. Let's have a shine.
Outside of Jayson Tatum, obviously, he won the Larry Bird Award. Go figure, it's a Boston Celtic award for a Boston Celtic. Outside of him winning that award, who do you think was the most important player for you for that Boston series, for that Miami series?
I mean, I don't want to be that guy that kind of, picks the unsung hero, but I mean, it has to be Al Horford. I mean, you can also put Robert Williams up there as well. I think Robert Williams was really important. And at least the first 4 to 5 games, I think the injury started to catch up to him, and he was a borderline, unplayable in Game 7. I mean, you could tell he was hampered. He was limping around. But, his ability to come out on a lot of those 3-point shots and block a lot of them in the first few games was important. But I mean, Al Horford was so important to be able to put up the numbers he did, to put the minutes he did, to get critical rebounds when nobody else seemed to be able to rebound, to hit shots to either keep us ahead or to stop a Miami Heat run. Like that. Yeah. That's such a momentum killer when a team is going on a run and then the opposite team comes out and hits a 3 to kind of keep them in sync, keep them in the game. And I think that a lot of those small little things really go unsaid, even though he may not have had the greatest series compared to Milwaukee. I think he had a very good, important series against Miami.
So you would say that more than Jaylen Brown, more than Marcus Smart, more than
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I'm always going to give credit to Jaylen Brown because he did really well, but I mean, you have to look at kind of the series as a whole. Al Horford always made the right decision. I think he averaged about 10 to 12 points a game. Yeah, Jaylen Brown had a tremendous series from a points perspective, but you look at his plus minus, it was all over the place, right? Yeah. He's going one game where he's getting, 10 of the 23 turnovers, and then the next game he's still getting 7 to 8 turnovers. It was a little bit inconsistent for me, but he was another one that was kind of a walking bucket. But I'm just looking at it from the perspective all around. Horford seemed to be able to guard pretty much anybody he wanted to. And it just seemed like Jaylen Brown just at times struggled against Jimmy Butler. I know in the last 2 games, he really buckled down, but Horford had no issue, in my opinion, from Game 1 to Game 7.
Yeah. What about you, A-Rod? Who do you think was the unsung hero?
I mean, I'm gonna agree with Sammy on that. Like, I'm the kind of guy that looks for the smart plays, the good plays in transition, the hustle plays, the grabbing offensive rebounds, the finding the right guys. Like I'm all into that. and you can't discredit Jaylen Brown. Like Jaylen Brown played amazing.
Yeah.
If we're going based on the points, like he held his own, he did his thing.
Mhm.
But Al Horford, I mean, you look at the guy and age is against him. Age is against him. Father time is against him, but he really wants to win. And I mean, his grandfather died before Game 6. That's a sad thing. You're playing with a lot of emotion. You're back in the city that gave you a chance, that build a winning formula around you. You're back with a bunch of younger guys. So I mean, he was everywhere he needed to be, like Sammy said. And every time I watched him play, I'm like, God, the guy was a home run get for these guys. Like they went back and got players that fit the mold. Remember what was it, season 1 when Vic was on here and he was all on Theis's dick, man? Like they went back and got the guy, man. So
Unplayable.
Yeah, unplayable. But he's a guy who fits the culture and the mold for them. Big Bob, if he didn't get hurt, I would have said he would have been 2 for me. Because for a guy to shut down Bam Adebayo, like they're both tiny. They're both mouses in the house, like we love to say, man. So but Bam was abysmal until game 7. Like Bam really didn't impress me that much.
Game 5, I think he was good, but
game 5 he blew up in game. Game 4. It was game 4. Yeah. He blew up in that
whatever game it was. It's very forgettable. We're never going to remember that, at the end of the day. So, but Bam's got to be better than that. You can't just show up to one game. And Bob, even hurt in game 7, was still doing his thing. And then you got to give credit to Marcus Smart too, man. Like Marcus Smart I feel like he is a lot of the unsung hero that you don't want to give him the credit for, because you expect him to be that 3 player.
Yeah.
But Marcus Smart is a defensive presence. Marcus Smart is a steals guy. Marcus Smart is a trickster. Marcus Smart is a human theatrical player out there just trying to win an NBA championship and an Oscar at the same time. So you got to give him his flowers too, because those big shots, those threes, they leave him open, and he's gonna take advantage every time. And I agree with you, Sammy. Like nobody else can take it from him. It has to be. And they only played like 2 or 3 guys off the bench in that game as well. So,
correct.
So they were all in it to win it right there.
I mean, to throw a little bit of stats, because I love to throw stats in there. I mean, I was on point. He scored about 12 points per game. Al Horford did. Shot 50% from the field, so super efficient again. 43% from 3-point land. I mean, he just played such an important part. And if we're going MVP based on plus minus, technically in the entire playoffs, Al Horford was a plus minus of 7.4 and Jayson Tatum was only a 7.2. So I know we're picking at straws there, but I mean, Al Horford was such an important part.
Even in that series, Al Horford was 8.5 and Tatum was 7.6, even within that series.
Yeah.
And Jaylen Brown was 5.6, to your point.
For the turnovers, yeah.
Well, one couple of things that I noticed. First of all, my unsung hero is not even a Boston Celtic. It's 2 players. It's Max Strus and Kyle Lowry, right? First of all, me and A-Rod every week, I'm like, yo, who the hell is Max Strus, right? And finally, after all the little bit of success he had during the regular season, he showed that he's, no offense to you, Mr. Strus, but he is not ready for this level of basketball just yet. And Miami kind of just, you got to give Miami credit. Gabe Vincent, like nobody really ever talked about him before. The guy with the braids, the twin. Caleb
Martin.
Caleb Martin. I mean, he was a Charlotte, he wasn't really doing much there. And Kyle Lowry, a little old and pudgy, and all these guys that they brought in, and they made it to the game 7 of Eastern Conference Finals. So you got to give them credit. But it's like, it screams of just like a regular season team that had a little bit of postseason like PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry, and Jimmy Butler have all won championships. So they obviously not Jimmy Butler, but just Kyle Lowry and PJ Tucker have all won championships. And Jimmy has been to an NBA Finals, Tyler Hero, Bam. They've been there, but it's hard to win an NBA Finals, let alone get there. And to me, you're relying on Max Strus, and Max Strus is taking way too many shots. Max Strus averaged 9 shots a game, that's too much. That's too much. And then what was it? Kyle Lowry also averaged 9 shots a game, and they both averaged exactly the same, 2.8 and 2.9 field goals made a game. And you brought them in you brought Kyle Lowry in to obviously kind of run everything and kind of keep everybody in check. And you brought in Strus to shoot threes all day, and obviously that wasn't working. And then another thing that I noticed is that you guys dominated the series. I think I forgot what the stat was, but you guys won the majority of the quarters.
Yep.
Points per game, 105 to 99. Rebounds, you out-rebounded by 5. Assists, more assists. The only thing you lost in was steals. Every other category you guys won or dominated. And so it's a testament to how well coached Miami is. But at the end of the day, you got to give Udoka his credit. First-year coach, already in the NBA Finals, like a Ty Lue, like some of these other guys have done. You got to give him his credit. And Boston is just a little bit more talented. At the end of the day, just a little bit more talented than Miami.
To kind of piggyback off what you said, KK, I think it's really important, and this is kind of to go on to the bandwagon, or let's say the fair weather Miami fans, right? Like, how far can you get from picking from the scrap heap, right? Like, Jimmy Butler, super talented in every single way, shows up in the playoffs, never really needs to drop 30, 40 points during the regular season because you know what you're going to get from him in the playoffs, and he knows it's a marathon, not a sprint. But then you look at everybody talking about how Miami Heat is deeper than Boston going into the series. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you're deeper, but is your quality of depth that good? And I think it showed that it wasn't, right? Like, it's very inconsistent. These are guys that you're getting from Salvation Army, you know what I mean? Versus actually getting a true talent to really help you out when you truly need it.
Yeah.
And that's really unfortunate for Jimmy, in my opinion, for Jimmy Butler, right? Like, he's putting his life on the line essentially out there, like 48 minutes of play, dropping 30, 40 points a game. And his guys just got cold, right? And that's because they're inconsistent players, not really, ready for this, big time moment in these playoffs. So if I'm Miami, I'm looking at that situation and kind of understanding. I mean, yeah, you're missing Tyler Hero for a good amount of it, but you probably need one more, right?
Yeah.
you need one more guy.
I mean, Joel Embiid himself tweeted it. Miami needs a second star, right? And I don't know if that was shade to Adebayo or not, because, I mean, he is an all-star, all-defensive player. But, yeah, they can take it from me. If Joel Embiid went to Miami, first of all, I'm no longer a Sixers fan because we've done everything in the last 20 years to just ruin my life. So
you heard it here first, everyone.
I'll be a free agent. Second of all, Embiid and Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero and all. Now we're talking. Now there's something brewing there, right? And you got to think, this is not the first time Jimmy Butler had to do this. Jimmy Butler had to do this against the Lakers back in 2020, where he played 48 minutes. He gave me that 1 2 month great, amazing game, but legs at the end of the day didn't prevail for him when he needed it the most, and he got tired. That's why, I mean, that three. Were you a little bit nervous when you shot that three?
Absolutely. Ask him. He was there.
It looked good, but the legs. I'm telling you, if he played one less minute in this series, he probably would have made that three, and we're having a completely different conversation. Seriously. So.
Also, I hate the term piggyback because I feel like everybody does that at work. Oh, let me piggyback off of this. So.
Try to be professional on the pod.
Exactly. We're off the clock now. We can say fuck and all that shit all we want. So to piggyback off of what you said though about the Heat being so deep on their bench, they literally birthed a lot of players towards the end of the season that we didn't hear of, like Strus, Vincent, whatever. And they forgot about guys like Morris on the bench, who's a well-decorated veteran, can score. Maybe his defense is a little, whatever, but he's definitely chippy down there. He's a guy.
Is he healthy?
Yeah, he's healthy. He was healthy.
So he was just a healthy scratch this whole series.
Yeah,
that's
a lot. Morris and you paid Duncan Robinson all this money. I know he went kind of cold, but I mean, what does that tell you about Duncan Robinson next year?
Duncan Robinson, even if he does hit shots, he's still more of the time than not a net negative because of how bad he is defensively. It's kind of akin to how Grayson Allen was with Milwaukee and how Budenholzer had to pull him because Jayson Tatum was just pulling an ISO on Grayson Allen every single time he was on the court. Kind of happened the same thing with Duncan Robinson, I think, in a lot of those games during regular season where people were realizing, oh, let's just switch. Pick and roll, switch on to Duncan. He's not going to defend.
You know how Golden State was killing Cleveland those title runs? Kyle Korver. Right. They just switch everything to Kyle Korver and just attack them. So, yes, they can get you threes and quick ones, and it can change the momentum of the game. But on the other end, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson all want them. And in this series, Jimmy Butler wants them, anybody. Other way around. Tatum, Jaylen Brown, let me go get that. So, it's another thing, a big thing that I loved about this playoff so far, because we talked about it a week or two ago, is like roster construction and the importance of roster construction. Because we go back to all these super teams, first round exit, didn't make the playoffs, sweet, like Phoenix, like all this super team stuff didn't work. But roster construction, they drafted Jayson Tatum, they drafted Jaylen Brown, they've had Horford in their system plenty of times. They made a trade for Derek White, Marcus Smart. They draft it's a beautiful team, and at the end of the day, it was all built in house, essentially. And same thing with Golden State. Pretty much, it's built in house, and they just swap back and forth with small forwards. Everything else is built in house, and you got to give it to them. This playoffs is like going back to the days of roster construction. I mean, Milwaukee proved that last year with their championship. Toronto proved that the year before the Lakers did. Like small, not necessarily small market teams, but teams that do it the more traditional way are prevailing. And Adam Silver loves this, so he definitely loves this.
And then another thing I want to point out too, like, and it's a big shame on you for the Heat, because like they went out and they spent and got players to mold this team together. The Kyle Lowrys, the paying the Duncan Robinson, but you went out and got an NBA champion in PJ Tucker, and you played him 17 minutes in the game. Yeah, like I didn't get that move. That was like a big I don't understand, because PJ Tucker's what, 6'6" or whatever, but he plays like a big man. We've seen him play center, and it's hysterical, yes, but he's a good defensive unit for you, and that was a problem I kept seeing with them. Is like either Jimmy's going to get the rebound because Bam is like literally bamboozled me for real, man. Like he's literally bamboozled me. I thought he was
he fooled us all.
I thought he was the second coming of Dwight Howard. He's like very slender in the face, he's similar like look, a little shorter, very aggressive in the NBA Finals against the Lakers, and here we just see bamboozled out of bio. So like I don't know, but PJ Tucker not playing in that game heavy was like I don't understand this move. And if something's not working, like if Lowry is missing shots after another, bring in one of those other scrubs that you brought throughout the year and let him play, man. Let Gabe Vincent take over or something. But dude,
they don't want that to happen. Like
don't want that to happen, but you want to win. Yeah. But also, shout out to the Celtics and Scott Foster for getting the NBA Finals, man. Like y'all did it.
Get out of here. We finally got calls after an entire series against Milwaukee of no calls. So
it was it was a pretty well officiated series.
It was.
Don't worry.
I think so.
The only thing, and
Game 6 might not have been, but
Game 6 was they were cheating. They were, oh my God, they were trying to get a Game 7 so bad. I've never seen so many missed egregious calls, and
both sides.
The one on Tatum when they called an offensive foul, I'm like, Jimmy Butler just did that on the other end, literally a play ago, and that's not an offensive foul anyway. Oh my God, it was so egregious. Outside of that little weird whatever was going on in Boston in Game 6, it went pretty well.
One other thing too is, and you and I agree to this, Sam, because I know we talked about it during the game, is like Tatum is too emotional, man. He's gonna have to learn to get that under control, because maybe we just get Draymond versus Tatum getting thrown out of games or technicals or something like that. But he's too emotional, but yeah,
I think he's on the cusp of being a superstar and getting those calls, but I think currently he's just not there yet. And I think he has to mentally just understand that. And I hate that. I hate that about the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I hate that we're sitting here talking about, oh, superstars don't get called. But I mean, it's true. You get away with a lot more if you're making the league money.
Yeah.
And Tatum is beginning to make the league money. He's going to get those calls. He got a lot of those calls in the regular season. In the playoffs, it's a different beast, right? Because there's all-stars on every single team. So, you know, he's just got to wait. I think against Milwaukee, it's a tough ask to get calls because you're up against the MVP or potential MVP. You're up against Brooklyn. I mean, you're up against two of
Durant.
two of the biggest stars of the NBA. So, you know, Tatum's going to get his. It's just he hasn't gotten it yet. And I think he's getting frustrated. I hate it. Trust me. I've been seeing this all year. I watch all the games and I'm sitting there just shut up and play ball.
It's going to get there for him. And for what it's worth, he did lead the series in free throw attempts. So he got enough calls. And I think the NBA is starting to get back, especially during the playoffs, to a more physical brand of basketball. I think, what was it, game 2? What was the score, like 80-98 or something like that? Yeah. Like, this is like 1976, 1996 basketball again. And I think they're kind of just getting a little bit back to that kind of brand, I guess. So trying to bring back the older fans to come watch again. So, yeah. So to me, I mean, he complains a lot, but he got the most calls. So I don't know what more he wants. What about anything about Golden State? Anything? What are you most nervous about, Sammy?
I mean, let's do the finals preview, I guess. Let's swing into what are you nervous about? I'm curious.
Late game. I think we match up out of and I said this to my really good Miami Heat friends. I have a couple. I said, no disrespect. I said it before game 7. I said, no disrespect. If you guys beat us and you play Golden State, you're probably going to get swept. I think we're better. 100% agree. I think we're better equipped and built to beat Golden State. I'm not saying we will, just because of our lack of discipline, as everybody points out every single game. Oh, they lose late game. They lose late game. They lose late game. We cannot afford to lose late game against Golden State, especially because they can score points so quick. Yeah. So that's my biggest concern. Other than that, I really don't have a lot of huge concerns. I mean, I think Marcus Smart defensively has held Steph Curry to his worst shooting percentage in his entire career. He's like one of the only, I think him and KCP are some of the only two guards that have been able to do that. But I mean, yeah, they score in bunches. We play defense. And my big concern for Golden State, if I'm a Golden State fan, is you haven't played a defense like this.
Correct.
in the entire season. You haven't played a defense like this. So what happens when you get a little bit roughed up? And Ime's not afraid to foul.
Yeah. And Steph does not, as much as Steph was cocky and everything, he does not like that smoke. Trust me. I've watched enough Golden State Warriors games. He does not, he will shoot you out of a slump. He will make the big shot. But when you start, like when Cleveland got physical with him in that series when they came back, you could just see the frustration. And it's the same thing when Toronto was roughing him up. You can see the frustration. And what I like about Boston the most is that they have a Draymond Green in Golden State. And you need to have somebody just as psycho as Draymond Green on your team, or you don't have a chance. And Marcus Smart is just enough of a defensive presence and a psycho to not let Draymond get into their heads. Because I was listening to Draymond talk about it back when they were playing the Clippers. Remember when the Clippers were really good in Lob City, and then Golden State pretty much just passed them up. He said, and that was a young Draymond. He said he knew when they started to mentally crack, that's when they got in their heads even more. So he would like say some slide comments to like Blake Griffin on the side, like, "Oh, Blake, you have Chris Paul's not passing you the ball tonight, huh?" That, like, he knows how to just do those little mental jabs. And that was 8 years ago. And now he's much older, much more experienced. So for the sake for
it's better.
Yeah, exactly. So if I was more worried about anything, it's the psyche.
I'm excited about the Al Horford Draymond Green battle, because that's going to be a battle, and it's going to be
hippopotamuses.
Bro, they're the same. Like if you think about it, like one's a little more gritty, but they're almost identical as far as their skill set. Like they're the same player.
Well, Al Horford's a little less athletic, which in a weird way,
marginally, but he shoots better.
Well, I was gonna say, but in a weird way, he's still kind of athletic. It's so crazy. Oh, before we get back to the series, I have one question. Because I heard Nick Wright talk about it, and Nick Wright makes a lot of crazy takes. He said if Al Horford wins the title this year, he's automatically Hall of Famer. What say you?
Wow.
That's crazy. And when he started mentioning things, you have to go back. I have his thing pulled up, but just first reaction, what do you think?
My first reaction, it's weird, even though I'm a big homer. I love everything he's done for Boston. I was a big fan of that Florida crew.
Yeah.
When they won all those titles. I mean, he's a winner, man.
Winner.
Like Al Horford is a winner. He's played the game the right way his entire career. What he did in Atlanta, I mean, that's overshadowed by a lot of what has happened in Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, my first instinct is no, just because of the body of work. And there's, so many better power forwards, centers, that are better than him and probably more deserving. But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed. It could be one of those, like, he deserves it because of what he has brought to the league. You know what I mean? Like his presence alone, just as an NBA professional. And he wasn't bad. Like, I don't want to say like, oh, he's an NBA professional and say, oh, he's a scrub. Like, no, he's not a scrub at all.
Yeah.
He's just not a guy that's dropping 40 for you,
Yeah. And it took Chris Webber 8 years to get into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So
right.
It's a tough sell, but maybe down the line, let's say they win it this year and they come back and do it again next year. Well, obviously then but I think down the line, they might kind of just put him in just more. I mean,
I think the real question is for you two, would you be mad if he did get in? For people who aren't Boston fans, would you be mad if Al Horford got it?
I am a fan of Al Horford because of those Florida days, because during those Florida days, it was 07 and 08 or something like that.
Yeah.
I really love that team. Brewer and him, obviously, and
Noah. Lee Humphrey, Joakim Noah.
Yeah, Joakim. I hate Joakim Noah. But Al Horford was my favorite player on that team because he was a kid, and you can see the leadership skills day one.
Right.
I mean,
right.
He's been a man amongst boys, basically, from a leadership standpoint, since day one. And leadership goes a long way. And there's a lot of players I'll get a look at the Hall of Fame to see there's certain players in there that they have nothing to do with statistics. They're not there for the statistics at all. They're there because they're winners, right? And to me, yeah, he hasn't won the big one yet, but he is a winner, and he's made all his teams that he's gone, besides Philly, he's made every team he's gone to better. I mean, remember that Atlanta Hawks roster? It was not good. They had 62 wins or something like that. It made no sense.
It was a good team. Don't poo-poo on that team. It just LeBron James shut that shit down real quick.
It was Korver. It was him.
It was everybody on that team was an all-star. It was Josh Smith, Al Horford, Joe Smith.
I don't know. Whatever.
Joe Johnson.
I mean, that team was good the year before, because I remember the Celtics had some issues with them as well.
Yeah, I mean that goes to the greatness of Al Horford. To me, it's a good testament to him. He just hasn't won the big one yet.
My take on it is I'm never gonna vote against a Latin guy in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, see, and that's another kicker, right? That's another
it is a kicker. International, he's the best Dominican player, obviously, that's ever played in basketball. So that's
could he be the best Latino player?
Well, you tell the people in New York, they'll still tell you Felipe Lopez is that boy.
Manu Ginobili.
Oh yeah, I mean
Okay.
South American. Yeah. I meant more Central America, Caribbean.
Okay, Caribbean.
Like you said, he's been a very vocal leader. Even in Atlanta, you could see him and Joe Johnson fed very well off of each other, and thus they got Josh Smith to become a budding star. They got Jeff Teague to be a budding star. They got the best out of Kyle Korver when they needed to. They got Marvin Williams to become a good guy to come off the bench. They had a good team. Like, you can't poo-poo on it. It just sucks that they couldn't get it done. They had Jamal Crawford and got what they got out of Jamal Crawford when they could, but they just couldn't get past LeBron James. No one's going to get past LeBron James.
Not at that time.
Yeah,
not during that stretch.
That shit was done. But I mean, back to the series, it's going to be interesting. There's I feel like it matches up a lot, even though it looks kind of lopsided. There's going to be a lot of good matchups you're going to be.
Where do you see it being lopsided?
Everybody's talking about a sweep, man, for Golden State, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Where have you been hearing this? Because I haven't been listening. I've been purposely not listening to what they, because I don't want them to influence how I'm thinking before the series. So what have you been hearing?
Well, okay, so I mean, I don't listen to all the ESPN and all the First Take and all that stuff all the time, but every time I'm putting it on or it's on somewhere, I hear them just rave about how Golden State is going to dominate the series, this and that, and the inconsistency of the Celtics, which that's a great point. And as I just mentioned, there are the inconsistencies with the Celtics. But to counter that point, which nobody has, we're one of the best road teams in the playoffs. Jayson Tatum's points per game after a loss is unbelievable this playoffs. But the only place that I saw that gave us a fighting chance was if you listen to like The Ringer. They have a better understanding of the NBA X's and O's and understanding how Golden State hasn't played a defense like this. So they are giving credit to the Celtics, but it's been kind of like a compliment sandwich of sorts where they're still just talking about Golden State the whole time. Yeah. So, I mean, I like it though. I want all the smoke, you know, I want all the smoke.
It's like all of it, everything that I have heard, it's already assuming that the Warriors have already won. What is it going to mean for Steph when he gets this? Is he going to get the MVP? And that's what I've been hearing. I'm like, okay, well, he's got to win first. But yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything. I don't see where the lopsidedness is, A-Rod. To me, I don't see
it. I mean, I say lopsided only for the fact that we have a very experienced team going against an inexperienced team. That could be the one lopsided thing that I see there. However, people who watch the game, people who see the game, point out the stats like you do, Sammy. You know, Jayson Tatum, after he gets his ass rammed in, comes out and drops, you know, a nice 40 piece on him easily. And if you are not cognizant of what the Celtics team has done, they beat the team everybody thought was going to win it and go to the promised land. Not a gentleman's sweep. Not 6 games.
No, they swept them out the damn gym.
That shit
at their crib.
That shit away. Dunzo.
Then they did Giannis. They did Giannis in game 6 and 7.
And we still find ways to talk about this team, which is annoying me. Then you go against the MVP and defending NBA champion, and you take them 7 games and you beat them. Did they beat him in the Garden or they beat him in Milwaukee?
They beat him in Milwaukee game 6, down 3-2. Am I right?
Correct.
Right.
Which is that to me was the most impressive
blowout
of the whole run.
Also blowout
too at their place.
Yeah. But then you go into Miami, and you and I were saying on the show, like, Miami's a tough place to win at. Not for the Celtics, it wasn't. It was very, very easy for them to win it there. So you got to give them credit where credit's due, because Miami is also a defensive team too. And my one friend who's a Heat fan told me that the best 3-point shooting team in the NBA this year was the Miami Heat. And then, you know, what is it? The
best defensive I think isn't Boston the best defense against the 3?
Yeah, we're the best defense, period.
Yeah, period. So yeah.
but I mean, what you're known for ends up biting you in the ass. So take too many threes. What's your favorite saying? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? So I mean, that's the lopsided I see, is the experience going into this. And how much experience do you have on the Boston Celtics? There's not a lot there. So it's a test of time for these guys. And I have a lot of faith in them, because I think it's going to be a good series. I truly do not care who wins. All I can say is that Jayson Tatum is in my top 5. I have a new respect for the man. He is a killer. He is an assassin. He has the will to win. You know, I thought the Kobe armband was a little too much, but hey, that's his ode to this favorite player, and I'm for it. But it gives the media something. Oh, Jayson and Kobe romanticizing. Don't worry, D-Book gonna like put on a Kobe headband and do it extra hard next year. But I have a new respect for Jayson Tatum. But going against this Golden State team, like, they got to know these guys are winners. They're no slouches. Yeah, they got blown out by the Grizzlies, and then won every game after that. So it's.
Hey Rod, I'm so glad you brought that up because I want to say it again for your fans that are listening, for the Fairweather fans that are listening. We took the toughest, we as in the Boston Celtics took the toughest road to the NBA finals.
I agree.
The toughest road. There's nothing we have not seen at this point, right? We like A-Rod just said, we faced against one of the best 3-point shooting teams. We faced arguably one of the best pure scorers to ever play the game of basketball. We beat the biggest truck in all of the NBA.
Modern day Shaq.
Yeah. We also had to play one of the best playoff performance players in, probably NBA history, right? Like Jimmy Butler just is a different beast in the playoffs, and their defense is unmatched, right? And no disrespect to the Golden State Warriors, I'm only saying this to bring us some more clout, is I don't see anybody locking Tatum up like those two teams that we just beat in the East on Golden State.
And they couldn't lock up Luka. They couldn't even lock up
us.
Yeah.
Who's going to be guarding Tatum?
Who was guarding Luka?
Andrew Wiggins?
Yeah, it's going to be Wiggins. Yeah. I mean,
my chicken.
I really don't see us in there. And call me crazy. I don't know. Maybe because I've been drinking the Kool-Aid. I have no idea. But I don't see a scenario how Golden State is going to win this series. And I'm saying that very bluntly. As good as they are, this team that I see in Boston is a little bit better. Because to your point, which I've been saying this whole week since, however many days it's been, they haven't played a defense like this before. Like, Dallas is not a good defensive team. Memphis is young and scrappy. Like
Memphis is a good defensive team. However, they lost their score.
But they were young and scrappy, and they lost their best player, and they were young and scrappy. And
if they didn't lose Ja, it could have been a different series.
Could have been a different series. And then the first, who they played in the first round? Was it a sweep? I don't remember who they played. Yeah. But yeah, it's been
Pelicans.
Nuggets. It was the Nuggets. They played the Nuggets in the first round, and they gentlemen swept them too. And the Nuggets, I mean, you just single out anybody beside. I mean, I don't know. It's long story short. I don't see them stopping Jayson Tatum. I think Marcus Smart is going to do a fantastic job on Steph. Who would be on Clay? Jaylen Brown will need to be on Clay, but Jaylen Brown just needs to match Clay's production. All he needs to do is just match him. Marcus Smart neutralized Steph Curry. And then Robert Williams and Al Horford are going to grab at least 20 rebounds between them two every night. So, and that was the other thing. Golden State does lack size. And Kevon Looney does not scare me. Draymond Green is not a big player down low. And to me, I really don't see a scenario. It sounds disrespectful to Steph Curry and all that stuff. And, everyone, America's sweetheart, and blah, blah, blah. But unless he averages 45 a game, I don't see personally.
All I can say is you doubted Steph before, bro, and I told you got to give him his power.
I'm not doubting Steph Curry.
I never doubt that, man.
I'm not doubting Steph. I'm bigging up Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, honestly. But it could come down to where
you know what I'm saying. As Celtics fans, we need someone. Yeah. We need another voice.
It could come down to
outside of us.
Yeah,
you got to think about this too, man. The Celtics have literally ran through. I want to say a brick wall in the first round, but it was fuck those guys. They're gone. So it was an easy, 4 games right there. So, but they had to run through 2 brick walls, a lot of playing time. Like, is there momentum still? And if anything the Warriors are good at doing is getting you off your momentum. They're quick. They're setting crazy screens. Steph's coming out of a fucking pocket and shooting. They're all over the place.
My thing is, like, Jayson Tatum just went through brick walls. Now he's gonna have room to cook. Like, these guys are gonna have so much room to cook. People say we can't score. It's because, when you're playing the teams we're playing in the East, we have to just stop them.
It's all grind. It's all grind in the East. And do you know how I see this going? What this gives me shades of is the 2019 NBA champs Toronto Raptors. They were a very well coached team with a good amount of depth and a superstar player that went off the whole playoffs. It's the same makeup. Jayson Tatum is going to. I mean, they had Nick Nurse was a rookie coach. Am I right? Because it went from Dwayne Casey to Nick Nurse, rookie coach. They had a point guard that you could trust in Kyle Lowry. Now you have a Marcus Smart who you can trust from a defensive standpoint. They had the superstar Kawhi Leonard. They have Jayson Tatum, and then he just had the right amount of co-stars to go with him. And at the time, it was a Siakam. It was a the other young cat was Anunoby or whatever.
Marc Gasol,
Serge Ibaka, Marcus Gasol. They have great veterans like Al Horford. Tell me Al Horford's not in Van Fleet. Tell me Al Horford's not better than who did you say? Marcus Gasol. But at that moment, and where they both were in their career, Marcus Gasol was not the same Marcus Gasol when he was a Toronto, when he was defensive player of the year. And Al Horford's obviously not the same Al Horford. But I just saw Al Horford dunk on Giannis a round ago. I mean, he cocked back and dunked it on him. So he obviously has a lot more left in his tank. And he makes all those wide open threes. And he's gonna block his shot if he gets into his, like, to me, this gives me Toronto Raptors feel, and I just feel I just don't see Golden State winning.
I mean, you make a great point, because they even pointed out in the Ringer when you look at, I believe it was 2013, if I'm not mistaken, where OKC played Golden State and went up 3-1 or 3-0.
3-1.
And it was the same kind of concept, but they kind of shot themselves in the foot, and we can probably put the blame on Russell Westbrook.
Of course.
But that's a story for another day.
Game 6 Clay, of course.
Yeah.
Game 6 Clay. He always shows up.
Right. But I mean, they roughed them up, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, we saw Steph Curry kind of go into a shell a little bit, like, oh, like, this is how they're going to play me. And he kind of, almost imploded.
Strong.
So
yeah.
I don't see us imploding like OKC. I mean, who knows? We'll never know until it actually happens. But I think we're better coached than OKC was.
So, all right, finals predictions. Go, Sammy.
Me first?
Yeah.
Celtics in 5. Celtics in 5.
Lord, 5.
Celtics
okay.
in 5.
A-Rod.
Whoever in 7.
No, you like your boys Golden State. A-Rod's got Golden State in 7. I already know.
I'm saying Celtics in 5 because of Vic.
I'm going to say
Golden State, yeah.
Celtics in 6. If it goes 7, well, and that's the thing. If it goes 7, I've just seen Boston do it twice. So it's like,
that's what I'm saying, bro.
It's like they've literally seen everything you could see.
We love Game 7.
I don't feel nervous about Boston at all. I would be very confident if I was a Celtics fan. So I'm going Boston in 6. I'm going Boston in 6. Jayson Tatum finals.
We'd love to see it.
I'm happy. Whoever wins, I don't care. But I have been riding that Golden State bandwagon for a while because I like the retooling of the team.
That was my West choice, honestly. When I was filling out my bracket, that was my West choice. So
makes sense.
Let's jump into the irony of KD and Kyrie. So those who are, fair weather fans and have joined the Brooklyn Legacy of their fan club,
the real number 11 now.
At one point, KD used to be a Golden State Warrior, and at one point, Kyrie Irving used to be a Boston Celtic. But then they decided to join forces and go to Cancun a lot during the playoffs. So the irony that these teams have been able to Golden State to get back to the finals. They've been there before without KD, obviously. They've been to a few with KD, and now they're back again at full head of steam back in the finals. And Boston, since when's the last time you were in the finals, Sammy?
2010, I believe. Yes, 2010.
I was going to say 2010. It's been a while, and you thought, and everybody thought, signing a Kyrie Irving to play and be that veteran leader with, a young Jayson Tatum and a Jaylen Brown,
and Gordon Hayward,
would be the remedy to fix all problems. Should have been, but when all actuality, it was not the right move. And now you're seeing the right moves made. Who I mean, I guess both organizations had the last laugh in this, but who's the one who's feeling it the most, would you say?
I think Boston. The only reason why I say that, and not just because I'm a homer, but I'm a big NBA fan in general. You look at Golden State. Golden State was a finals team before KD.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got KD, won it again. And then they're consistently perennial playoffs teams. They're always, projected to go into the Western Conference Finals. Obviously injuries happen, and that hurt them a little bit. It was nothing to do with their roster construction or anything. Yeah. Now they're back in the finals with everybody healthy. I say healthy because Klay's back, but is he 100%? But still 85% of Klay is better than probably most players in the league.
Yep.
But you look at Boston from a perspective of how much they had to reconstruct this roster because it didn't work out. Number one, Gordon Hayward, had an awful injury first game of the season, and that destroyed any momentum we had, right? I mean, you were forced to play Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown a lot more minutes that probably they were ready for at that moment in their career, right? Like they were still coming into their own, kind of like a Jordan Poole. I would say Jayson Tatum could have been that ilk where he was, not really the focal point yet, but just getting there. Same with Jaylen Brown, could have been a perfect bench player to come off the bench, give you more depth. But anyway, Gordon Hayward gets hurt. It causes a huge rupture in the entire team. Brad Stevens had to change a lot of things because the reason why he had Gordon Hayward there was because he runs a lot of the actions through Gordon Hayward. That's how that team is constructed. Gordon Hayward knows how to run that offense. Now he has to change his point forward and make it either Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum. And you saw just a rift happen. Couldn't keep Terry Rozier because of the Kyrie contract. Had to trade away and get Kemba Walker and see if that's going to work out, right? Because we had some money and we were like, we need another star. Kemba Walker didn't work out. I mean, it worked out a little bit. I love Kemba Walker. Just wasn't the point guard for this particular team and this talent set. Had to go through and do that. Now we're struggling with roster construction from a salary perspective. We're going into the luxury tax because Al Horford made the NBA Finals. So we have to pay him his full amount of money at the end of the year. So we can't really do much. And it left us hampered every single trade deadline along the way because of the Kyrie Irving and Kemba Walker situation we've had to deal with since what happened when Kyrie left. So that's why I put that perspective there. Sorry, that was long-winded, but I hope you guys understood that.
No, of course, Kyrie. You're saying Kyrie's feeling it more.
No,
yeah.
So you would say Kyrie looks worse in the situation? Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
Because he left the team because he thought this team wasn't going to make a finals, and this.
Oh yeah, man. You know where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going, which route I'm going with it. You don't even got to ask me.
Well, your favorite player in the NBA, Kyrie Irving.
Like I said, I got no beef with him. I just got beef with the shit he says. For a man to come out on center court on night, get the mic and say I'm resigning, and then jump ship to go make this mega team, like, come on, bro. And I have to tip my hats to Boston because you, like you said, you went out to try and build a mega team. You did that, and it failed. Then you thought, oh, we got some money. What you fiending betting on stupid sport games. Let's go get Kemba Walker. Fuck, let's go do it. And it didn't work. Thank you for Kemba. I appreciate it. But
I wouldn't say it didn't work. He was past his prime.
And he was getting hurt. It definitely was. And it's unfortunate to see. But you ended up doing what KK's team likes to do and say, trusting the process, trusting your drafting process, trusting the guys that you signed that are the right pieces, the Daniel Theis, the Al Horfords, the guys that are just good pieces and good locker room guys, and know the system. You can forget about the Kyrie Irving signing, as all of Boston did. They completely forgot about it, and look at your success now. Because Marcus Smart, if I remember, was coming off the bench. Marcus Smart wasn't your point guard. He was kind of like
two. He was playing the two as well.
The two. So you trusted Marcus Smart to be that guy. And I always said Marcus Smart.
I have said he should have been a point guard from the beginning, man.
I always said it. And then you went and got good guys and Naismith and Langford's no longer there, but Pritchard, whoever you drafted this year, and then you went and got a guy like a Derek White who just fits the mold.
Perfect.
Like
the perfect last addition to the puzzle.
Exactly. And he's not flashy. He's not going to score 30 or 20 or 15 a game, but he's in the right spots. And yeah, we talk about how inconsistent he is, but he's doing the right things. And you have to look at, like you said, the plus or minus numbers on him. He's looking pretty good. So my tip of the hat is definitely to the Celtics, and Kyrie's got to be looking at this like, God damn, I really, fucked up on this because KD left. KD wanted to leave. What more could KD do? He's got his MVP. He's got his finals. He's got his finals MVP. He wants to be number one again.
All right.
And he didn't promise anything either.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
So my perspective is going to come more just specifically from a historical basketball context. We look at the greatest players of all time. We got Wilt Chamberlain and let's exclude Wilt. Bill Russell's to the Kareems, to the Magics, to the Michaels, to the Kobe, Shaq, LeBron, Larry Birds. They all have one thing in common. They carried somebody to the NBA championship and won. At least they did put the whole thing on their back, and they went and did it, right? And they had to grind somehow, and they did it, right? And to me, Kevin Durant in this situation looks horrible because and we got to go back to the situation because we were just talking about Golden State being down 3-1 to OKC. That was to Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant allowed Golden State to come back and beat them in that series, right?
And he joined them.
And then three months later, he joins that same team, correct? Now let's
join them, right?
Let's look at history, right? 2 years in 2015, they won an NBA championship with Harrison Barnes, right? Made it back to another one in 2016 with Harrison Barnes. 2017 and 18, they have Kevin Durant, and 19 as well. He gets them, blah blah blah. They won those two. Great, that team was loaded, right? Then they lose him, replace Kevin Durant with with Andrew Wiggins, and they're still back in the same exact situation. So to me, I see that Golden State success as a lot of it has to do with the system that they run. And then Steph Curry draws so much attention that everyone else is allowed to eat, and he still gets his, right? So to me, Kevin Durant benefited more from that system rather than he put this rodeo on his back and just carried him to an NBA championship.
Absolutely.
He couldn't do it with OKC. He hasn't been able to do it with Boston, with Brooklyn yet. And Golden State is still seeing the same exact success that they had. Maybe not to the dominance that they had with Kevin Durant, but they're still back in the NBA finals, regardless of who without Harrison Barnes, Kevin Durant, Andrew Wiggins, didn't matter. So to me, I mean, before they had a more veteran bench, now they have a young bench. Like, it doesn't matter. They find a way to make it. And Kevin Durant got swept in the first round of the playoffs with his team healthy. He had a healthy. I mean, were they missing anybody that I don't recall?
Joe Harris.
Oh, he was hurt the whole year.
That's what everybody tells me. I don't care. That's what everybody tells me. Joe Harris would have changed the entire series too. That's what people tell me.
Whatever. Listen, all I'm saying is that they got.
I'm with you guys, but
they got. So for me personally, it's such a testament to how great Golden State runs that. It gives me San Antonio Spurs 2000s feel. Like, that is what we're seeing. We're seeing just a more sped up version of that, because they won 5 championships with San Antonio, right? That's a dynasty. It's like the Patriots. It's a long stretch dynasty.
And who was the assistant coach?
For
a couple of them at least.
For Golden
I think
State?
One of them.
Oh, for San Antonio. Oh, Udoka. Yeah, exactly. And now you see that San Antonio Spurs system has birthed 2 teams into NBA championship appearances. Think about it. Steve Kerr came from the San Antonio Spurs as well after he was with Chicago. He's from that same exact system. We literally have Steve Kerr and Udoka coaching against each other, and they're all from that Popovich tree. Like, that is not a mistake. So it's a testament to how great that organization is ran. But and to me, it makes Kevin Durant needs to go win a championship somehow, where he's just has this shit on his back. Because if he does it, he essentially has 2 cheap rings, and it's like it's yes, he won them. He won Finals MVP, great. But it's a reason why when we talk about greatest of all time, no one ever says Kevin Durant, and he's just as qualified from a skill standpoint to be in that conversation. But we all know he's not a good leader, and he hasn't carried anybody. He hasn't done anything where it's like, wow. Like Kobe was going through that for a while, right? And then, he had to free himself from Shaq, blah, blah, blah. It took a while. He got Pau Gasol and Lamar and all that stuff, and he won 2 more championships away from Shaq. And that's what cemented Kobe into that kind of a conversation. Kevin Durant needs to do something very similar. Like, he needs to go just put this shit on his back and just make it happen. And until he does that, this Golden State run makes him look terrible, in my opinion.
It's a good point.
I'm with you.
It's a good point. I just have a personal vendetta against Kyrie, man.
You got
Me too. Mine's real personal.
Yours is personal. Mine is personal. I'm a LeBron fan like I felt he just left my dog high and dry.
I don't like both players though, but I just think actions speak loud. And we all know KD, like, it was a snake move to go do that. Like, go, if you can't beat him, join him. Like, you really did that? Like, seriously?
I'll never disrespect him for that, though, because you look at his skill set. He's a hooper. I always look at players. Are they hoopers or are they like NBA ballers? Like he's borderline baller, but he's just more of a hooper, man.
He just wants to go out there and shoot the basketball.
He's the guy at the park all day. But
which I respect so much about him, because that is who he knows he is. And he's mentally like, I'm cool with that. Like, that is who I want to be. I just want to go play basketball. I don't got time for. He doesn't have time for all the politics and all the this and that and being the face of this. And he still makes a lot of money on the side. Keep in mind, he's investing with all these businesses, and he was on David Letterman talking about he just wants to smoke weed and play video games and play basketball. That is all he wants to do. He's single, bro. He just wants to play ball, video games, and basketball and video games, whatever it is.
And talk shit to fans.
Talk shit to fans.
Yeah. No, but what I was gonna say, like, to kind of piggyback off of that too, is like when we look at it and compare it, it's like the Buccaneers getting Antonio Brown. Like, it's an unnecessary luxury at this moment. Like, Golden State was already going to the finals consistently. You go and get KD.
It's not the same. Kevin Durant was the number 1 or 2 player in the NBA at that time.
But it is. It's an unnecessary luxury at that point. Like, you're constantly going there, and you don't want to see that as a LeBron fan. Like, I mean, you do want to see KD versus LeBron in the finals, but you don't want to see him on the Warriors. Like,
I want to see OKC versus Cleveland. That was supposed, or Miami. OKC versus Miami.
If I'm not mistaken, there were only like 4 or 5 teams that could have at that point in time afforded to get him.
Yeah, the Clippers were one of them.
Right.
I would have respected the Clippers a lot more.
I mean, yeah, I think everybody would have. But
yeah.
I don't disrespect him for not going there.
The Clippers were actually good at that time too. I mean, they had Blake Griffin. It
didn't fit his skill set.
It didn't fit his skill set.
I
mean, they had, what's his name?
That was Lob City, man.
They have that series that the 2016. They had Patrick Beverly. No, this is when he was with Golden State, when Patrick Beverly was guarding him all so small. And he held him in check for 1 game or 2 games, and he dropped 50 on him the next game. Oh man, but yeah, it's, to me, I mean, it's both an indictment on both of them, but I just gonna, Kevin Durant, he got to go get me a ring somewhere. Like, just go to Orlando, go win a ring, please, or something.
Good Lord. Yeah, they both screwed the pooch big time, definitely. But yeah, let's wrap up the show. Let's do the fun segment. Since we're talking playoffs, obviously we're gonna talk playoff runs. You said top 3, so I did one from each sport. And you want me to go? I'll go first.
Yeah. And obviously, really quick, guys. We're watching Vasilevsky have a fantastic postseason. We just seen Jayson Tatum do it this year, just carry a team. So this is just three similar, but maybe more, maybe better performances. I don't know what A-Rod's going to do, because A-Rod would be kind of weird with his, but he's probably going to say what, Kurt Schilling or something. I don't know. Go ahead.
So mine is really one individual and two teams that like no one expected to do it. So mine, if we're going NBA, I was gonna go one route, but I chose to go another. I'm gonna do 2016 LeBron James, because that man was playing out of his mind, and everybody says Kyrie won that series for them with the 3-point. I don't give a shit what you say. That man hit every or blocked shots, did his thing. Very dominant player, very dominant LeBron James, and he was going to do it for Cleveland.
And there was a minute left in the game. I don't know why people. It's a great shot, but I don't know why people are so damn enamored with that three. I don't know. It was a minute left in the game. Like, it wasn't 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But nevertheless,
it's the Kyrie fans, man. But all right, if we're going NFL, I'm going the greatest show on turf, man. Like, that team wasn't supposed to get that far. The Titans were just ridiculous, and they gave it to them. And then, Sammy, you're going to appreciate me for this one, because we talked about it, and I went back and I looked at the numbers, and the shit added up, man. I hate to say it. The 2013 Boston Celtics, man. There's no reason that team should not have been – they should not have been in the World Series. That team is – if you go back and look at it on paper – compared to what they had to go to in the AL championship, they had to play Verlander, they had to play Scherzer, who had 21 wins that year, Anibal Sanchez, who was it, Porcello and Doug Fister, and you had Miguel Cabrera, freaking Prince Fielder, Victor Martinez.
David Price on that team too?
Huh?
Wasn't David Price on that?
David Price
wasn't there yet.
It was the next year, but still, you had 5 good starters, and everybody on that team was virtually an all-star. You had Johnny Peralta, Omar Infante.
Wasn't that Miguel Cabrera's Triple Crown year too?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
When they ran through,
he was a dog.
And we got to see the Rockies. Like, really, how did the Rockies get there? But easy win. That's my teams, or my peoples.
All right, go ahead, Sammy.
Oh man, you put me on the spot here. So I got 2 to start. Well, actually, I got 3. I got Kemba Walker's 2011 March Madness.
That's a good one too.
That was insane, because not only did he win the national title, but he also won the Big East tournament when the Big East was a freaking dog, bro.
They had to win it. You had to win it to get to the damn tournament in the first place. Yeah. I'm gonna piggyback, and then I'll let you get back, because that was one of mine as well. I mean, just the moments, Cardiac Kemba and all that. That was the most legendary collegiate. I mean, I didn't watch, Magic Johnson in 1979. I didn't watch all these other bullshits. I don't know what they're talking about. I watched that series, that whole run with my own eyes, and I was like, wow, this is the most impressive collegiate thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So it was. Yeah, it was Heisman worthy-esque, basically, that one for basketball. Well, but continue.
I'm gonna go, and this is to pick a sport that you guys don't really watch, but I watch. I'm gonna pick the 2010 World Cup champion Spain. That team went on an insane run. Then they won the Euros the year after. Yeah. Like, just an insane roster. David Villa had 5 goals in that tournament. Led all scores. Like, that team was unbelievable. And then my last one is obviously it will always be remembered. It's going down in history. The 2004 Boston freaking Red Sox. Everybody counted us out against the New York Yankees. But down 3-0. Don't count us out. Don't count us out, right? And if you guys haven't, if any of your fans haven't, go watch 4 Days in October. It's incredible.
Ooh, it's a great one.
I'm gonna have to check that out. All right. So mine are more from an individual standpoint, because I'm all about, obviously Kemba Walker is one of them. I mean, just for them to get to the tournament in the first place and how they had to do it, and to carry it all the way to a championship game and win it as well as an 8 seed, I think they were. It was just phenomenal. And and the Big East was fun as shit back then. It was the most
difficult.
It was so fun and hard to get to where they got to. That's my favorite collegiate one, right? Another one that I talk about on the show a couple times because I like to give this German his flowers. Dirk Nowitzki, his 2011 NBA playoff.
Oh yeah.
I want to repeat what he did because we just talked about what Jayson, and I've been waiting for this moment because we just talking about what Tatum had to get through to get to his NBA Finals, right? This man, Dirk Nowitzki, swept Kobe in the first round, God rest his soul. He beat Brandon Roy in 6 in the second round. That's when Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge were fantastic basketball players. And then the third round, they played against the defending, no, not the defending, but the up-and-coming, really good Oklahoma City with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. They had that good defensive player, Derek Fisher. They had everything. And they beat him in 5. Beat him in 5. And then Dirk down 2-1 or 2, whatever it was. Yeah, they were down 2-1 to Miami. You know, LeBron and D Wade are making fun of him, blah, 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 talking about he's fake sick. I've never seen a player that was unguardable. But since Shaq, that was the last person I thought was unguardable. Dirk Nowitzki for that little playoff run, I'm like, there's no man on this planet that can guard him. It was just an impressive run. And to beat Kobe, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Brandon Roy to get to that championship, like 20 years from now, we're going to look back at that finals and like you're going to realize how impressive it really was. Because we're going to be talking about LeBron, the Hall of Famer, and D Wade, the Hall of Famer, and all the Kobe's and Durant. We're going to look back at that one like, wow, that was improbable and crazy, but it was super fun. And then my last one, Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, I don't know how he did it. But Joe Flacco, we talk about Jimmy Butler during the regular season, didn't really do much. Joe Flacco is just not good during the regular season. He got to the playoffs, and what was it? He had, 12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He went through Cincinnati, blew him out. What else did he do? He was phenomenal. He got to the Super Bowl MVP, got a big ass contract, and hasn't done shit since. But the fact that that's what makes it so impressive. That he wasn't really doing shit before, didn't do shit after, but that one playoff run, he was
Nick Foles, man.
He was phenomenal. Oh, I could say Nick Foles. I'm completely Xing this out. I'm gonna edit it out maybe. Nick Foles. Let's talk about that's the best one. Obviously. I was trying not to be personal about my team, but Nick Foles for sure. I mean, to Carson Wentz at the time, I thought was an MVP kind of player. And
weren't y'all 13-1 going into
13-1,
15?
Yeah, going 13-1. We beat the Rams. We beat all these. It was beautiful. And then ACL's torn. We have a backup quarterback who lost his confidence years ago after he played. We drafted Nick Foles, got rid of him, and brought him back.
And he threw for 6 touchdowns against Oakland the very first game he played.
I was like, you know what? This guy is pretty nice. And then that playoff run, the Atlanta game was tough with Julio Jones, and it just slips out of his hand. And Nick Foles didn't play that well in that Atlanta game. No one talks about how bad he didn't play that well. He played okay in the second half, but he did not play that well in that game. It was like 16-15 or whatever it was. But then that Minnesota game, oh my God. He looked like Brett Favre just dropping dimes. And he's just dropping dimes everywhere. And then we get to my dog Tom Brady. And boy, oh boy. Tom Brady threw every 505 yards. Y'all had all the talent in the world. We have a backup quarterback, Nick Foles. And Nick Foles looked at the GOAT in his eyes, stared him down, put one in the chamber, and bam, knocked him out. Super Bowl MVP. We built the man a shrine. And just like Joe Flacco, he hasn't done shit after. So here you go. But yeah, that was obviously from a personal standpoint. I mean, Nick Foles, guys. I just want to remember Nick Foles won us the Super Bowl. So, hey.
All right, let's wrap up the show. Sammy, the floor is yours. We appreciate anytime we can get you and Vic on here. Absolutely, since the Celtics are going to the NBA Finals, we had to have you on. I don't got that many Golden State fans, and if they are, they're bandwagoners. So
we should link up for a schedule.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I know I haven't been on the last couple of times. I know scheduling conflicts and stuff like that, but again, I'm always super appreciative. I love coming on and chopping sports with you guys. You guys can find me and Vic at Townie Sports on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We're also on TikTok. We're at Townie Sports Pod. On Instagram, Townie_sports. And if you just look up the Townie Sports Podcast on YouTube, you can find us there. We do kind of the similar thing that you guys. We like to add a little bit of stats and metrics and stuff and mix it up in there. And we do a lot of Boston sports, but we love to talk about all sports in general. But this Celtics run has been heavy on our on our to-do list every week. But yeah, again, appreciate you guys for
a lot of this each week.
And we talk about it though.
Once again, always a pleasure. But as for us, you can find us on Twitter at fair_weather_pod, Facebook, Instagram, the Fair Weather Podcast, and at the Fair Weather Podcast. And if you search on YouTube, I'm not on YouTube. I'm so lost. But I got a brain fart. Wherever you subscribe to podcasts, you can find us there. Just search the Fair Weather Podcast for the audio. Words of advice from me. Just get it done. Get it done, man. Take Steph down. That's all
that sound like a fortune cookie. Like you waiting for a great fortune, and all it says is "get it done." The hell was that?
Get it done,
What about lucky numbers?
I literally had to watch an amazing run for Jayson Tatum, and I'm happy I can put him in my top 5. And Jimmy Butler's still in my top 10, but Jayson Tatum's cracked the top 5, so you got to get past Steph. That's the only thing, man.
All I got is go Lightning. It's 1-1 right now, and we gonna do our thing. We going for the 3-peat, and I'm going to the parade. Let's get it.